mic over there? Okay, so we'll get started here. We'll get you guys the mic. Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate it. So in the forum here, we're going to talk a bit about Salesforce and some of our experience. This is going to be informational experience based on some of the things we've run across, hopefully valuable to all of you. So we've set it up panel style. So I'll be your moderator. My name's Kyle. I work here as a solutions engineer at American Eagle. A lot of experience with Salesforce. I have the architect certification on Salesforce, so feel pretty confident asking questions if you guys have any at the end. And then I'll allow our panelists, maybe starting with Jerry, to introduce themselves as well.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Jerry Boduch. So my role here is Director of Partnerships. So what I do is I manage all the relationships with any third parties. So if anybody was in the last session, talked a lot about CRM, search, ERPs, the platforms that we service. I help with all those relationships and make sure that we're doing everything correctly from certification all the way through support on those solutions.
Hey everyone, this is Abhishek Joshi. I'm a senior Salesforce developer here at American Eagle and officially certified in platform development and B2C commerce development. And yeah, that's about it.
Hi, I'm Eric Robertson. I'm a senior strategist here at American Eagle. I've been here for 20 years, and I've worked with a lot of different platforms and such, but I've moved on to Salesforce this last year. I'm a certified sharing and visibility designer and advanced administrator and platform app builder.
Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Hertz. I'm a Salesforce practice lead here at American Eagle, and look forward to answering some of your questions.
Okay, thanks guys, appreciate it. So quick agenda. We're going to provide this as somewhat of an introduction to Salesforce. Kind of talk about the different products, what Salesforce actually is, what it can do, different products that they offer. We'll talk a bit about Customer 360. Some of you may have heard that term before. We're going to elaborate a little bit more on what that means. And then there will be some time for questions at the end if you guys have specific questions, maybe something that we talked about piqued your interest or you just wanted to learn more. So real quick show of hands before we get started. How many of you are on a CRM platform currently, just so that we're aware? Okay, how many of you use Salesforce currently? Okay, great. So a lot of this will be pretty introductory, but we do have some medium and advanced discussion topics in there too for those of you that are already on the platform. So real quick review. So this is the Salesforce product suite, just a selection of the ones that we'll be talking about today. There are more, but Salesforce you'd think of Salesforce as CRM primarily, but there's a lot more that they offer, including Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud for B2C and B2B engagements, Community Cloud if you do work with your business partners, resellers, distributors. It's a way for them to collaborate with you. And we'll talk about each of these in a little bit more detail up front here. Commerce Cloud, Einstein is their AI tool. Tableau is a recent acquisition for business intelligence reporting. And then MuleSoft for integration platform as a service. So Sales Cloud is their bread and butter product. They call it their core product. There is a mobile app that supports the Salesforce UI. It's good for people that are on the road, working with customers. There's an offline mode there. We'll talk a bit more about mobile later, hopefully. Sales automation, custom reporting and dashboards, and then their artificial intelligence that they refer to as Einstein. Marketing Cloud is an interesting component of the Salesforce product suite. It's primarily geared towards business to consumer engagements. So you can think of transactional sales, things like hotel tickets, airline tickets, room reservations, that type of thing. And that's supported with this idea of a journey builder. They have Email Studio for crafting those transactional emails, Social Studio for engaging on all of your different social media channels. And then down at the bottom, Pardot is primarily for B2B email marketing automation. So if most of your business is B2B email marketing, you might be interested in the Pardot product. Service Cloud kind of ties things together on a service standpoint, where you may have reps that are out in the field engaging with a mobile app where they're making appointments maybe as an insurance adjuster, looking at vehicle damage, looking at other things that may be out at a customer site and making reports about those. All of that funnels into the case management console that the agent can use to see information. Customer calls in on the phone, their account may pop up automatically because Salesforce recognizes that phone number and then can see all the information for that customer at a glance. There's just a lot of other features there that are all centered around service. Community Cloud, which we briefly mentioned earlier, is a portal solution. It's a drag and drop website builder that's primarily geared towards doing work with maybe your internal employees, maybe your business partners, maybe you have distributor or reseller channels that are important to you. And that's a way for them to share record data from your internal Salesforce instance. Maybe you're registering leads with your resellers, or you're just engaging with your business partners on leads. That's a good way for you to do that, and that's also mobile friendly too. And it's also the foundation for the B2B commerce component, which we'll talk about here in a second. So Commerce Cloud consists of two components. So Salesforce made two acquisitions. One was Demandware, and that is their consumer commerce product. The other commerce product that they have was an acquisition from CloudCraze, and that is their B2B commerce product. The difference being the CloudCraze product primarily exists what we call on platform. So it's built with all the Salesforce tooling, the Salesforce Communities product. All of your information from your customers is coming from your CRM. The Demandware B2C commerce piece is more independent and siloed, but can be tightly integrated with your CRM from Salesforce as well. And that's all omni-channel, mobile first. They have the Einstein search with predictive commerce, and they can even do things like analyzing an image to match a product, that type of thing. So very advanced tooling there. So on to the questions. So the first question that I have here is in what ways, let me pull up in my notes here. So in what ways does Salesforce help improve or automate operations over a traditional database? I believe this one, I think we'll ask Ryan this one, given some of his experience on what he's been doing.
Okay, so automating sales operations, there's approval processes. So let's say your sales team, you want to give them some autonomy to offer discounts to a client, but you want to set limits or criteria for what size of discount they can create. And if they perhaps want to go over that discount, that can be escalated to sales manager who can improve or make adjustments to those. We have the ability to develop quotes within Salesforce. Let's see, automation-wise, opportunity alerts. You can notify the team when a large deal sells. Escalations, if a opportunity sits for too long, you can have that notify management to say, hey, why aren't you moving on this deal, or how can we assist in getting this closed? We haven't heard from them in 7 days, that sort of thing. Got any other ideas, Kyle?
It's good for forecasting too.
Oh, collaborative forecasting allows the sales team to not just present what their quoted opportunities are out there. You might quote a client a certain figure because that would be best case scenario, but you know that they may not choose all of the options available, and you want to relay that forecast information to your sales manager. You can make adjustments to that forecast, and the collaborative part of it is that the sales team and the sales manager can make those adjustments on a forecast sheet that is all shared, and you can communicate on that as well. Chatter, despite the name, is a function within Salesforce that is more of a collaborative note taking. It's not instant messaging, but you can get those mobile alerts and so forth. I found it very nice to be able to put contextual notes on an opportunity, have that email the sales manager. He gets that chatter notification on his phone. He can respond to it. It contextually goes right back to that record. That is the deal that you're talking about. That communication stays within that opportunity or that forecast. That's pretty powerful stuff that is you're not going to necessarily have with a traditional customer database.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, this workflow that you talk about that can be set up, is it simple enough for you to set up and manage, or do you need an IT pro to manage kind of those triggers and those setups?
Great question. Yes, it is simple enough that you could set it up. Yeah, you look like a relatively smart person. Salesforce has just a really wonderful, I might be getting in front of someone else's question, but there's a really wonderful community where you can get help, share with others, and even just their help and training pages within the platform itself are very useful. And there's also a sort of self-guided, they call it Trailhead training that can get you a deeper dive. But I think most people can at least turn it on, and you're not going to break anything with it because it's not actually changing the opportunities. It's not changing that process. The forecasting sits off to the side of it.
Also, some of the tools that are used for the automation, like for example the approval process, it's kind of an automation tool that's used frequently. You can model a lot of things as an approval process, and that has like wizard approaches where it walks you through setting it up. So you have like criteria to enter the approval process and then who it goes to, different criteria to send it to different people, and it's all, they do the clicks not code approach, right? Where you can click and set it all up with forms without writing any code. You can set up a whole approval process.
Is that typically integrated into PeopleSoft as far as the routing to people itself, or how do you trigger to individuals? What's that source database? Are you pulling something into Salesforce, or typically talking to an external HR system?
Yeah, all of those users are modeled within Salesforce. There's a role hierarchy that's set up throughout the systems. It's basically like who reports to whom, so that you can get that approval based on whoever is above that person, like that person's manager, for example. And then that's done through Salesforce. So they get the notification through Salesforce, and then they come into Salesforce to do the approval. Or they can approve it by the...
To be clear, you're replicating then a version of the hierarchy of reporting for the enterprise within Salesforce. So you're having to, on a regular basis, update that reporting infrastructure.
Yeah, we have a couple questions about that too with the integration. So I think that will answer
Active
some of
Directory
those.
integration.
So
Yeah.
we'll definitely talk about the integration.
Great questions.
So,
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So Customer 360. Jerry, maybe you can field this one. So can you just tell us a bit, from your experience? I know you deal a lot with sales operations. What is Customer 360 to you? Maybe even as an example, just talk about what you think that looks like in the context of commerce.
Sure. So I'll kind of use two examples, right? So Customer 360 is this concept of knowing your customer at different stages in their relationship with you as a vendor, right? So for us at American Eagle, we're a professional services organization. We're offering design services, creative services, digital marketing services. In our sales pursuit, we're sending emails, we're going to trade shows, we're doing advertising, and then we, once someone engages with us, a salesperson gets involved. That salesperson now may bring in other individuals to support that that engagement, the experts around creative, the experts in integration, the experts in digital marketing. All those individuals are helping with the pursuit. And then when the customer, where the prospect becomes a customer, now we have a project manager, we have an account manager, we have other people that are engaging with that customer. At the same time, that customer may also be interested in other items, right? So now we have sales team talking to them, we have the account manager talking to them. All of these individuals have the ability to enter data or enter information about that customer in a central place. And so our sales team knows what's going on with them on the service side and vice versa. So if you look at that, we have that customer 360 view all connected up through Salesforce. Now we use the marketing and the sales portion of it, and then we have our own internal systems and systems like Jira and Confluence for the ticketing, but those are integrated into our Salesforce instance. So we're not using Service Cloud, for example. In a commerce example, that's a little bit more specific to a consumer rather than a business and the context inside of a business. So think of a commerce experience as somebody that maybe sees a pay-per-click ad, or they may get an email from you, and then they place that order, and then you ship that order, and then there's a confirmation on that order. So using all of that information and being able to access it through a central system, so you can see exactly what's happened throughout the years of them, engaging with your brand, and then also transacting with your brand as well.
Yes, good stuff, Jerry. Kind of transitioning from that, customer 360 idea, a lot of times that customer data can come from outside Salesforce also, like you had mentioned. And Abhishek, I know you have a lot of experience doing development, specifically integrations. Maybe you could answer this one for us. Like how do you integrate other business systems with Salesforce?
So before I head into specific answers, how many of you have dealt with integration to a certain extent throughout the years? Is it always a pleasurable experience? So this is where Salesforce comes in. From my experience as a developer and somewhat a client-facing person, sometimes, not always, what I've experienced is, especially if you're integrating to Salesforce, they provide state-of-the-art REST API as well as SOAP API. And the benefit of that is it's state-of-the-art, so you have documentation, you can easily use them into any platform that you want. And all that information is publicly available for developers and any architect to add it to your own system. They also have something inside Salesforce called external services. And this is a really cool feature where you can literally go in and import your external services. I think you can go with OpenAPI or SOAP WSDL, and literally this is kind of bad for developers, to be honest, but you can import the external service, hit a button, and everything's automatically generated for you, and then you can use all those services inside Salesforce.
Right, so you might show your ERP orders next to your customer profile page,
Yep,
something
pretty
like
much.
that.
And to give more examples, realistic examples, so let's say you're in a commerce environment, somebody puts an order, it goes through, and then in Salesforce, when the orders and the customer info comes in, you can trigger automatic services and send out notifications to Marketo, Twilio, and text messages to customers, and even go as far as controlling your ERP through your CRM if need be. And beyond that, Salesforce recently acquired, I don't want to say recently, but they have acquired something, a product or a company called MuleSoft, and they have a product called Anypoint. It is, again, as a developer, it's not that good, but it literally allows you to declaratively create integration. So it's
Not
pretty
good,
much
like it's put you out of a job, not good, or?
not yet, but
Okay.
it allows you to drag and drop integrations. So if you want to integrate to Marketo or Twilio or any other services you can think of, they already have created those connectors. So you can go into your Salesforce, bring up MuleSoft connectors, or you can even use Jitterbit, depending on what your preferences are, and you can literally just create an integration to any services, at least the ones they have created connectors for, and easily connect them through. And it doesn't necessarily have to be through Salesforce. You can use it for internal services, connect them to Salesforce. So they have provided a really good interface for a lot of integrations, and so far it's been really easy for me, other than getting my job. But yeah. Thank you.
So speaking of integrations, Eric, I know you worked with this customer a little bit. There was heavy integration involved in this project. Maybe you could just talk briefly about this one and give some thoughts.
Yeah, sure. So HomeServe originally came to us to redesign their front-end website and to put it onto Sitecore. And they had another vendor that they were working with for Salesforce who built this custom CPQ implementation. CPQ is one of Salesforce's products we haven't mentioned so far. It's a specialized product for custom quoting that's far more advanced than, I mean, it does have custom products and quoting built into Salesforce, but CPQ is for like really advanced use of that system. So they use it for their total home warranty product, and they ended up liking the implementation in Salesforce. Everything was working well in there, but they didn't like the front end that was built by another vendor. So they came to us and they said, well, since you're building the front end to our website, we'd like you to build the front end to this CPQ quoting system. So when the customer comes to their website, they start entering in all their total home warranty information, and the website in real time communicates to CPQ and Salesforce to put that information in and get the custom quote information back so that they can turn around to the customer and then give them their custom quote and then start collecting user information from them. If they're interested in continuing, then all their customer information goes right into Salesforce and is immediately available to the sales team there. So we ended up actually winning a Sitecore Innovation Award for in part due to this, but Sitecore was a project that had a lot of different integrations with their systems. HomeServe was from Sitecore, and one of them was to Salesforce. We ended up having to write some custom code on the Salesforce side to support this integration. CPQ is a much more custom, complex module in Salesforce than other ones are.
No, that's good, Eric. Thank you for that. And shifting a little bit, kind of related to quoting, but as far as sales operations and processes concerned. Ryan, I know you've dealt a lot with this and helping set up our Salesforce instance here. Can you just talk a bit about sales cadence and process? Like, why is that important? And how does Salesforce help manage your sales cadences? What can it do to work with those?
Sure. It's fact that the quicker you respond, or a vendor that responds to somebody looking for service, whoever responds first is usually going to get the deal. Sales cadence is the idea that there's a regular and almost scientific timing to how you're interacting with your potential clients. Sales cadence might be, hey, you find out they look at your website, they followed an email, they clicked a link. I'm sure you guys have probably had this happen to you. It's almost creepy, but you get a call from someone you just visited their site, downloaded a paper or something like that. The sales cadence is when and how often you approach that lead. And it's important because there may be a different speed depending on the lead score, the value of that potential sale. You may want to contact them right away if they're a decision maker, or you may want to slowly feed them. A marketing person might say a nurturing or a drip campaign.
And there's tools in Salesforce to visually build that cadence.
So there is a add-on product called High Velocity Sales that includes a system for creating those cadences that will then HVS, High Velocity Sales, can give your business development reps or your salespeople a list of leads in a particular order based on who should be contacted first, next, and ranked by a score that you determine, pardon me, with the help of some artificial intelligence. I don't know, do you have some other ideas?
Yeah, no,
or-
I mean, so they have that in Pardot too, or email marketing also has
Oh, sure,
journey
that's-
builders too.
Yeah, so it's not
Yeah.
just your salesperson responding to a lead, but there's the marketing automation can determine, can be used to feed the right amount of contact with somebody. I think we've all been in situations where we might have some cold leads or somebody's not interested at one point, but a year down the road, maybe they have budget again, and too often we'll just leave that potential lead behind. But with marketing automation, you can say, let's look at somebody that was interested a year ago, and let's slowly give them some marketing information, new programs or services that we offer, and warm them back up, and that they can bring them back into this sales cadence where. So I'm not a salesperson or a marketer.
Yeah,
I'm doing
it's
my best.
okay. No, it's good. No, I mean, so let's actually shift over. Jerry, I got a question for you, since you do deal with sales operations. I think this is well suited for you. So sales team. So talk about some of those sales team features. Like Ryan talked about cadence. What are some features that can create better communication, maybe between marketing and sales and service and that kind of thing?
Sure. Yeah. So, as you can imagine, we have about 15 new business sales team members. They're pretty busy. They're on the road a lot, going to conferences, going to shows, or talking to customers. And at the same time, we expect as an organization to understand where they are in the sales pursuit. So we ask them to update their data on their sales prospects and leads quite frequently. And so Salesforce makes it a little easier. For example, there's a dialer tool. So when they dial somebody directly from the app or their phone using a dialer tool, it logs that call, so we know that there's been engagement. So that alone has made it a lot easier. In the past, the sales team would have to create reports for our management team so they can see what the statuses are, what the support is. Now that's all automated inside of Salesforce, as long as they keep their notes up to date. There's reports that are triggered to the management team. Additionally, as I explained before, our sales pursuits are pretty complex, right? We want to make sure that we're adding value to our prospects, and we're getting support from folks like all of these gentlemen here at the expert level. And so the salesperson is acting as the quarterback, but there's other roles that are there as well. So those other roles can now also contribute to the notes and through chatter or other features that are available. So
You have a question over there?
Yeah, so
uh-huh.
on these type of features, is this something we get a demo from Salesforce, or do we go to Americaneagle for that? Usually the integration, not necessarily, so we go to Salesforce for this.
Both, right? So Salesforce usually collaborates with us a ton, but we have experience, we have sandboxes, and we can show you, for example, how we've used it. We can set up proof of concepts for you in terms of like what your process looks like, and try to map it to at least get some feeling for how it would work with your business operations. And then Salesforce does come in and they essentially sell you the software direct, but we would be the ones that would help you sort of configure it, or at least train you on where to go to configure it.
Good question. So talking about sales team features, maybe Eric, I know you've worked with some of these. So everyone's on the go when they're on Salesforce, even if they're in the service team, potentially even on the marketing team. You're on the road, you're at a trade show, your service, you're out visiting a customer maybe. What are some mobile applications, and what are some noteworthy aspects of that? And I do want to leave some time for questions at the end too. So just if we can move through these, I think there's just a couple more for us, and then we'll open it up to everybody else.
Yes, sir. So one of the big powerful features of Salesforce is that you can customize, all the objects that are in there. You can create your own custom objects, your own custom page layouts and interfaces. But it doesn't allow you to just do that on desktop. You can also do it on mobile. So in one way, when you set it up on desktop, there's kind of a default view where it transitions to mobile. But then you could also go in and customize that mobile differently, because people who are mobile users do inherently use the system in different ways. The global actions at the bottom that you can just quickly punch up and get to a right page so that you can add a new lead or whatever you're doing on the go. So the integration in the main Salesforce app itself with mobile is really great, and it's a great experience. But beyond that, they have a suite of mobile apps that they use for more specialized users. Well, the one that really stands out to me is the Field Service Lightning app, because Field Service Lightning is a module in Salesforce that is geared towards service reps that work on site. So it handles their job schedules, it allows them to see work orders, it gives them access to a knowledge base, and naturally it makes sense to have a mobile interface for that. You don't want your field service reps to have to be pulling up a web page and navigating that interface when everything that they need can be right there on their mobile device. They also have some other apps for like Marketing Cloud and Social Studio, so you can manage like email and social media campaigns from your phone. It really, I think, shows that Salesforce is committed to having a good offering in the mobile space. And I think we were talking earlier that we're going to Dreamforce next month, and that this may be a strong focus of Dreamforce is an extension of their mobile app or a commitment to mobile app. It certainly looks like they're heading that direction, because their mobile apps are really top notch.
Yeah, definitely. And then you mentioned too, that you can tailor the mobile app. You can tailor really any part of the Salesforce platform to be, every business is different, right? So those cases can be considered. And Ryan, I want to ask you this question, but I also want you to talk about this particular case study when you answer the question. So maybe you can discuss, this particular example, and what are some other ways that the platform can be configured to be unique for each business.
So I like that you keep saying platform. So really, when Salesforce, they were the first basically cloud-based application. They were really the ones to do it right, and they had to build that whole infrastructure. And what they did was they made an environment for creating these services that we use. That's the platform. What that means for anyone with a business that maybe has a slightly different process than anyone else, or for some of us that do development, you can customize Salesforce. Think back in the day of maybe a Microsoft Access people used to use quite frequently to build forms and even Excel, right? If it exists in Excel today, it easily translates into a cloud-based collaborative experience. You can create apps within Salesforce of your own design to fit your own business processes. The Higher Learning Commission is a university accreditor, so if you want to get a degree somewhere, odds are that you went someplace that was accredited, right?
Probably by Higher Learning Commission.
Probably, especially in this area.
Yeah.
So they are not necessarily selling services to leads to their customers are universities, and they want to track basically that relationship of are they going through a particular process to maintain their accreditation. Instead of maybe a sales call, they are sending an auditor to make sure that the university's finances are up to date and so forth. And it's actually a very short gap to make this rather different process fit within a CRM.
No, that's great.
Web-based portal. So there's also there may be some student access. The general public, you want to look to see if a university is accredited in good standing with the Department of Education. That is all accomplished on the platform for HLC.
Yeah. They're using some of those automation features, but maybe not in the context of sales. Maybe using them in the context of making visits with the university or following steps in the process, that type of thing.
I'd also like to add. I think one of the real key features of HLC is that they have this whole peer review process where people from other schools go to schools to verify a lot of the things that they're claiming about their programs and locations and things like that. And there's a lot of people that need access to that system. So we're building that peer review portal as a separate standalone web application with strong ties into the Salesforce. So it basically uses Salesforce as a backing database for all the accreditation process and the peer review process. So that's just a really unique way, I think, that we use Salesforce integration to accomplish a goal for them.
Salesforce's API, the openness lets you connect those things together.
Yeah.
That should be really creative.
Yep. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to try to just quickly answer the last 2 questions myself, and then we'll open to questions for the last 5 minutes. So one of the questions we had on here was, what are some challenges that companies may face when implementing CRM? And so we face these challenges ourselves when we implemented Salesforce. So primarily being data quality is a big one. A lot of people have data in different systems. Maybe the integrity of the data is not that great. Having resources available to help implement with the CRM, people who are committed, key stakeholders, executive sponsorship, and then maintaining governance to make sure that those business systems stay on track, because they're not, set it and forget it, just like a website isn't set it and forget it. So they're always evolving, always being progressively enhanced. So those are some of the challenges that we face and we see other customers facing too. And then some other ways, some companies interested in if you're not already on Salesforce, you want to learn more. As I think the panelists mentioned earlier, we will be out at Dreamforce, so happy to connect with any of you that are interested in connecting, even if it's just to say hi, and see how we're doing or what sessions you're attending, learning more about what you're interested in. There's a Salesforce Connections here in Chicago that takes place at McCormick Place. That is primarily focused on marketing, service, and commerce cloud offerings. So that's available here. And there's a more low-key user group that actually has a lot of people that attend called Midwest Dreamin', and that takes place at the Palmer House downtown. It just happened a couple months ago, but the cost to entry is very low, and there's a lot of sessions if you're interested to learn more. Salesforce also has a nice product called Trailhead, very, very popular amongst people that use Salesforce. It's their learning management system. You can get points and badges, and they make it about as fun as it can be to learn about enterprise software. It's pretty cool. So with that being said, we've got 3 minutes. Maybe we could go over a couple more minutes. I do have 2 WeatherTech cup phones for the first 2 people if they would like to. You don't have to have the cup phone, but you're welcome to if you'd like. First 2 people that would like to ask a question, just any general question. Yeah, go ahead.
I kind of partially answered my question by looking up Jitterbit, but that's, I guess, the data loader for Salesforce. So right now I have an SQL database with the data, and essentially it's backing a custom system that we use. So how do we get the data from that custom system into Salesforce, and then how does that data flow back into our systems that we still need to maintain?
There's actually 2 products. So Jitterbit has a free data loader, cloud data loader, I think it's called.
So this is free.
Yeah, and it's great, but it's like Jitterbit Lite, and it is just one way.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how do customers handle getting the data back into their external systems as well? Is there an outflow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can configure a connector, so one side will be SQL, one side will be Salesforce, and you can define if there's any transformation, any change of the data from one to the other, you can run it backwards.
And what is that, a plug-in, or is that just built into Salesforce?
So Jitterbit, similar to MuleSoft, allows a variety of connectors that you can use, which allows you to I wouldn't prefer it, but it does allow you to connect directly to a SQL interface and get everything and schedule it even if you wanted to take data back and forth. But I would prefer, honestly, as a developer, to have a API in front of the database. So there's a finer grained control in front of it. And the benefit of that is now you have a connector that talks to a standard API and lets you bring data back and forth. And something that we didn't cover earlier during integration is if it's a crucial data, time sensitive, Salesforce also provides something called streaming API, which allows you to do real-time integrations. So almost similar to something you would have push notifications on mobile devices. Not exactly, but very similar to that. So.
Cool. Anyone else? Yep.
Is there such a thing as a generic out-of-the-box instance of Salesforce, or is it always custom?
Yeah, I mean, I could start with that, and then I'm sure these guys can offer some better feedback than me.
They have the Essentials product too,
yeah,
which is meant to
there's
just
definitely
yeah.
something that comes when you get it, right? When you log in. In fact, you can even get free trial accounts, right? And you can go in there and see what you get out of the box. So yeah, it does come with some standard stuff. We find ourselves always going in there and doing some tweaks, right? Even how someone defines a customer and what information they want to track on a customer could be different from organization to organization. And they do try to make it clicks, not code, where you can say, okay, add field, what type of field, track this, etc. So to answer your question, yes, there is something generic that comes out of the box, but probably 90% of the time, the generic out of the box version won't get you exactly where you need to be.
And I'd actually like to suggest that you visit Trailhead, which Kyle mentioned before. One of the features of Trailhead is that you can spin up sandboxes. And Trailhead is like a learning module, so you can search Trailhead for something you're interested in, and then you can, as part of the, it's like a lesson. They call them like individual trails. It's all like hiking themed. At the end of the lesson, sometimes there's just like a quiz, but sometimes they want you to spin up a Trailhead instance of Salesforce, and then you have to make some sort of customizations in there based on the lesson, and then you hit a button and it actually connects to the instance and checks to make sure that you did what you're supposed to do in the lesson, and then gives you points when you've completed it. But that's a great way to see what Salesforce looks like out of the box, because if you just spin up one of those sandbox instances, you can then get in and use it, and you can see the accounts, the contacts, opportunities, leads, all the standard objects are all there waiting for you, and you can customize it however you want. Of course, it's just kind of a temporary thing, but it's a great way to get in and play without having to worry about doing any damage to your org or incurring any costs.
And just to add a little bit, when you finish a trail, you can get a badge that you can put on your LinkedIn if that's something you want.
Yeah.
I wanted to equate the question to Microsoft Excel. I know lots of people who say I can use Microsoft Excel. I've run into people who do things that I didn't think were possible in Excel. So we're kind of drinking our own champagne here, talking about things that are really whiz bang and maybe a little bit cutting edge or more sophisticated. You absolutely could run Salesforce out of the box, but where it really shines is when you can take some time-consuming process and use Salesforce to make you faster.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect analogy. And I think we're about just a couple minutes over time. So thank you all. So real quick here, just next steps. If you are using Salesforce right now and you would like us just to, no charge, just to take a look and see if we could provide some constructive feedback, we would be happy to do that. Similarly, if you are interested in marketing support, because there are a lot of products that Salesforce offers for marketing, our people and our marketing team are familiar with those, just using those on a day-to-day basis. They could offer you some guidance there as well. And then if you're not using Salesforce, but you maybe had more questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking today, or you think about it after the fact, Feel free to reach out to anyone here that was on the panel. We'll be around the office, myself too. We're happy to answer questions, just to talk to you about what you're interested in or help clarify something for you. So thank you very much. Appreciate it, everybody.